I just had the pleasure of meeting Mark just last year in New York. We were both at National Media Summit for Steve Harrison with some of the top media in all of North America. And Mark happened to be sitting in front of me in in the event, and it wasn't until, I don't know, was it a 3-day event? I think it was 3 days that we were there. And it wasn't until the second day that I realized, like, hey, this person in front of me is kind of an interesting individual. He has this book called The Give a Damn and a Hat, and just a very, very unique, dynamic personality. So we started talking. It was somebody, he is somebody that I just truly admire. I love what he's doing in the world, making a difference to so many. And we resonated with him and we kind of clicked right away. So it was an honor to have you and have you here today and be able to speak on our virtual Lead to Impact stage. So welcome. I'm just going to formally introduce you here and we will get started.
Don't make it long, like introductions.
You don't like introductions?
No, that's okay. I'm okay with that. I just get embarrassed by them.
No, but you have so many amazing things. You need to own every single part of it because you have an amazing bio and so much to celebrate. So we're gonna celebrate you now, Mark. Okay.
Let's just get into the presentation. I'd be fine with that.
Okay, I'll just do a brief.
All right, that's good.
That's good. Okay. All right. So Mark Lewis is a business coach, president of keynote speaker, and #1 best-selling author. So he is the president, like I mentioned. He was born in Rochester, New York, born and raised in New York, and has a Bachelor of Science degree in finance from Boston College and an MBA in marketing from Tulane. He joined IBM in 1981 and received many awards, including Rookie of the Year in Southern Region and a Golden Circle Award in 1988. As president of the Louisiana Technology Council, Mark has been the commencement speaker for ITT Technical Institute and Remington College on the elements of success after you graduate. He's also written several articles on entrepreneurship for Silicon Bayou News. For the past 13 years, Mark continues Mark continues to appear live on WWL-TV's Channel 4 monthly TV program called Digital Gumbo, demonstrating the latest developments in technology, and he helps promote local technology companies throughout the region. He has also participated in numerous panel discussions throughout his career on entrepreneurship and technology. In 2018, Mark self-published the book, Give a Damn, The Ticket to Cultural Change, which can be found at giveadamnbook.com. A highly enjoyable, engaging, and quick read, Give a Damn discusses the challenges facing society and business, how we got to where we are today, what needs to be done, and how a give a damn attitude can culturally make a difference both professionally and personally. He has identified 9 areas that have contributed to our ego-driven society and why it's causing much pain across the business and the world. He has appeared on several national radio and podcast shows promoting his movement, including the Newell Norman Show, the Frankie Boyer Show, the Ed Till Show, and the Tom Bernard Show. Mark is a successful, energetic, thoughtful leader, entrepreneur, business coach, and keynote speaker. His success and experiences are a great asset to any business that chooses to engage his services because he wants his clients and businesses to succeed as if it was his own. Throughout his leadership, Mark helped EO of Louisiana become the fastest growing EO chapter in the country. He, in addition, EO of Louisiana received the Global Award for Excellence in Membership Practices, which was awarded in Macau, China on April 14, 2019. Based on his leadership and success, on July 2019, EO Louisiana was awarded Mark the Marshall Klein Louisiana Entrepreneur of the Year Award. It is with my honor and great pleasure that I welcome Mark Lewis today to the stage to speak on Give a Damn, the ticket to cultural change. So Mark, the stage is all yours. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Those introductions, I don't know, I just get squeamy about them, but I appreciate that introduction. So what I'm here to, let me go ahead and share my screen, and what I'll do is hopefully, let me get to the beginning here. Let's see, there we go. All right. So first of all, I was listening to Michelle's presentation. That was very engaging and talked about the body and how it's affected in a lot of different ways. And my presentation is kind of a complement to that in terms of thinking and what effect your thought process has on the body. And so I have developed this presentation. I've done it several times in front of groups, and I get very engaged. And my whole idea really is centered around what I can do to change your life in a positive way. So what I'm going to go through is just kind of rapidly go through this presentation and just kind of give you an idea of where I'm coming from. So a lot of people ask me, like, why did you write a book? If you told me 10 years ago I was going to write a book, I would have said, God, you're crazy. I'm not a writer. I'm a business guy. I like to help people do things and help them implement strategies and then create a positive culture. But then I got thinking all these things what I was seeing in the environment and just kind of started that process. I saw this picture and I'm going, okay, well, they're painting the road and yet they're painting over a dead possum. Of course, the lines don't look too good either. So why did they pick that up and just throw it away? And then I came across this and I'm going, seriously? I'm seeing all these things that people are doing and they're not doing things which I would think would be a proper way. They just don't go out of their way to kind of do things in a very agreeable way in terms of what they can do for others. So then this set me over the edge, really, which really contributed to me writing the book. There was a video that I saw, a guy walking out of a discount store, older man right there. He had some milk in his hand. He was walking. He got hit by a car. It was going about 20 miles an hour. The old man tumbled on the road. Car stopped and went around the guy and left. And another car came, ran around the guy and left. Every car that came up didn't stop and help the guy out. And there was people around there. This probably had to go on for like a minute, but it seemed like an hour when I was watching this video and go, why aren't you helping this guy out? Eventually they came to his aid. And then there was a dog. Dog was walking across the street, got hit by a car. There was a lot of cars going back and forth. And there was another dog that saw this. The dog dodged cars, picked up the injured dog and put him in the medium out of harm's way. And what set me over the edge was this. The old man died of his injuries about 6 months later, but the dog lived. And I'm going, we as humans are much smarter than the dogs. Why didn't we do, and why didn't we go about helping this guy? And that kind of really got me fed up because everywhere I was going, I saw these similar instances every day. I got tired of all the excuses that people were telling that of why they did something, why they didn't do something. People weren't admitting when they were wrong. They just justified everything they did and found a way that instead of taking responsibility, they justified what they did. And these became self-serving attitudes. What am I going to do to win at all costs? And it eventually led to me understanding that today's society has become more of an ego-driven society. And I couldn't understand what was happening. And then I asked this question, whatever happened to common sense? And I got this answer. Common sense today, ironically, is very uncommon. We don't think, we don't use our common sense in a lot of different areas in terms of making decisions. So, a lot of you people know who this guy is. If you don't, Lou Holtz, famous Notre Dame football coach. He's an ESPN analyst, very successful in what he was going through. And he came up with a quote that really hit home to me. And this was the quote that he said, 50 years ago, we had duties and responsibilities. Now people think they have rights and privileges. Think about that when we were growing up. Now, most of you on this in this broadcast here are probably are probably not as old as I am, or most of you probably weren't born when this happened 50 years ago. But this kind of hit home to me. And what's causing all this to people think that now they have rights and privileges? How did we get to where we are today? What causes attitude change? And you can see this in today's society in terms of everything that's going on. It's become very disruptive. and the attitude of what people have is just really concerning. And there's a lot of factors that brought all this together, all intertwined. And here's the 9 factors that I came up with. And we're going to talk about this in more in depth. Government, media, technology, wealth, family values, all working together, the legal system, all working together to cause a transformation in society in terms of what I think is ego-driven. Government. Government, typically over the past years, especially if you're not in the United States, because I'm actually in New Orleans right now, government has tendency, both at the state and the federal level, especially at the federal level, has a tendency to breed entitlement. They're channeling dollars into handouts. Look, I'm all about government helping people. I want government to help people. In fact, I'm all for government educating people and providing funds to educate people. However, the problem there is there's no end point. If I say I'm going to spend $5,000, I'm going to get you to an education, I'm going to get you a degree, I'm going to help you find a job, and you're going to go out in the marketplace and you're going to contribute to the economic development of the region or to the country. If you don't choose to do that, I can't help you anymore. You're now responsible. I've given you everything you can to be accountable and responsible, but now you're on your own. If you choose not to do it. Now, there's other factors that help that enter into it. But the fact is, there's got to be an end point. We got to help people with an end point instead of continuing to feed and channel dollars to people without the end point. You know, you're talking about polarization. I think we're polarized. There's the government is made up of these three parties, really, the Republican, the Democrat, and the Independent. You know, when I'm in a presentation, if I were to ask each and every one of you, if you're in the U.S., what party are you affiliated with? And I do this in front of 300 people. Tell me, and I go right to a guy in the front. I go, what's your party? What are you affiliated with? Nobody tells me. You know why? Because if you do, then I create this perception of who you are and how you think. So what happens is, when you get this, you're in a box. You can't think outside that box. People don't work together. The government doesn't work together. There's always a middle point. But we're so polarized. It's me versus you. Heads I win, tails you. And that's what's happened in today's government in the U.S. I'm not sure what's happening in the Canadian area, but it seems to be happening across most government. And that's a big problem. There's no working together collaboration. And that's a problem with society. This was a great quote by former President John F. Kennedy. You know, he was shot and killed, but he came up with a great solution. Let's not think about Republican or Democrat answer, but the right answer. Can't fix the blame for the past, but let's all work together and accept responsibility for the future. And more people are not doing that, and that becomes a problem. So I've come up with a comprehensive list of everything you are entitled to in this world. Now think about it. What are you entitled to today? What are you entitled to as you come into this world, as you get older? Well, here's my list. I don't think people are entitled for anything. They have to earn and gain respect and collaboration, work hard to be accountable. And as you do these things, then it will come back to you. So as you perform and help other people, it'll come back to you in a lot of different ways. So here's my thought about government. Government is an opportunity for them to provide me as an individual and everybody else an infrastructure for me to succeed. They must help me become and provide security so I can do the kind of things that I need to do in America or wherever you're, Canada, wherever you're, Mexico, wherever you're located. Help me with the economic development, provide me the security and the drugs, everything I need to be a citizen that can succeed. And that's where I think roles government. I think they've gotten away from that. Special interest groups, great initiative early on to help assist marginalized groups, not given a voice, like for women, for a voice to, for right to vote, for the civil rights movement. That was a great initiative, but all went south when the Supreme Court, Citizens versus FEC, made a big mistake. And that mistake was allowing special interest groups to have a significant vote or voice in terms of money that's given to them so they can support a candidate. You and I can't give any more than 25, I think it's $5 grand to a political candidate, but I could give millions of dollars to the special interest group, and they can spend billions of dollars on their candidate. And what happens is when politicians get money, typically they get money, there's some type of, okay, if you give me this money, then I'm going to help you out. And that's gotten carried way too far with all these special interest groups for power. Money is equal power. Now, here's a question I would ask everybody. Nobody knows who I am, right? But if someone gave me $1 billion to run for office, do you think I have a better chance of winning versus somebody else if I didn't have any money? The answer is usually yes. The legal system. This has become a big issue because it happened directly to me. Millions are awarded for frivolous suits. We're more litigious than we've ever been, and insurance companies don't fight it. And here's the situation. It happened to me. I was driving up an intersection. It was a T intersection. It had to go up a little bit of a ramp. The light turned red. Car in front of me, white car, bunch of stuff in the back. It was a little small pickup truck. He goes forward. I look to the left to make sure no cars coming, and I tap this guy. In the middle of the intersection, he stopped, and I tapped him. I get out of my car. Now, I'm in a good suit. I've got a sport coat and a tie. And I go up to the guy and say, look, I'm really sorry. There's no damage to your car. Come out and look. And he rolls down his window halfway, and he goes, look, there's no damage. He goes, oh, my neck's killing me. I'm going, oh, no, here we go. So I'm calling the police. I said, well, there's no damage. No, I'm calling the police. All right. Next thing you know, sirens coming down the street. And I asked the guy to pull over because he's backing up traffic. He said, no, I'm waiting. Sirens coming. And guess what? It's a big fire truck. They pull up and I go, what are you doing here? And he goes, well, we just got a call. There was a major accident here. We had to come out. I said, seriously? He goes, yeah. Then the police come out. Paramedic comes out. He comes up, are you okay? I'm okay. They went to that person. Are you okay? They're okay. Police comes out, tells him to pull across the side, gets the guy to come out. And he goes, well, tell me where the damage is. And that guy goes, this where it's right here, and there's one there and one here. And the police goes, where's the damage? It can't be all three. It's got to be, what is it? And he got all flustered. So the police pulls over. I said, look, I'm really sorry. I hit the guy. I wasn't, I was looking to the left, but he stopped. I said, am I going to get a ticket for this? He goes, sir, just wait a minute. I'm going, oh, okay. He says, this happens all the time. That's the problem with the legal system. You know, the end result was this. The guy was awarded $30,000 for tapping me, for me tapping that guy. And I said, this is just ridiculous. I asked the insurance company to fight it, and they didn't fight it. So that was my involvement with on the other side of the legal side. I just thought it wasn't right. And look at this guy in the bottom right-hand corner with a circle in the red. Look, I'm all for red light cameras. Because if you do the right thing and you go and you speed through and it turns red and you go through a red light, you should be penalized for it. But this guy didn't want to be recognized. Attorney gets on a call, and I was listening to the radio. He says, I'm fighting this. I made a right-hand turn, and I didn't stop. And the guy admitted it. A lawyer admitted it on the radio that he made, and he went through and didn't stop when he was supposed to. He admitted it, but he said he was fighting because they can't prove it was him. I just thought that was ridiculous. Anyway, education. I think today we need a more formalized character education system. My wife's a teacher, and I said, Elizabeth, the education system, the character education is not taught in school. She goes, yes, it is. We teach it all the time. I said, well, something's not working because they're not showing the respect and accountability. They do certain programs, but it's not an ongoing education course like English or math. We need to teach us at a very early age so they can get what it means to be morally responsible, respectful, and all the other kind of things. And part of the problem is that the parents aren't working at home like they used to. When I was growing up, my mom was home. The rise of single-family homes has become an issue. Less time with people spending at home with their kids. And of course, when they're not home, what are these kids doing? They're playing video games, and what does that teach them? Shoot them and kill them, and I don't think that's a good message. So I think that's part of an issue. Religion and beliefs. Well, we can't practice religion like we used to. It's viewed as offensive. If someone prays, you're getting offended by it. It's become a problem. I'll tell you a fact. This is true. Do you know, and there was a study by Ohio State University, people who are more religious actually live 4 years longer than people who are not. Why is that? Well, because maybe they can grab on something, they can feel good about it. What happens when they grab onto something like that? It causes less stress, and you live longer. Ohio State University was a great program, not a program, but a great study that they did that viewed that, and I thought that was unbelievable. And here's a perfect story. The city court of Slidell, it's in my backyard. There was a thing that said, "In God We Trust." It's been up there in the top of the courthouse for probably 30 years. Someone looked at that and said, "I'm offended by that. And I want you to take it down because it's offensive." It's been up there for 30 years. Why would we take it down? All of a sudden it's offensive to you? Don't look at it. If you don't like it, don't look at it. But it's not designed to be directly at you. Now, if I were to take a Bible and force it into you and force it, then yes, that would be offensive. But this thing wasn't designed to be offensive. Religion and beliefs, we've gotten away from them. I think that's been a problem. Family values. You see these programs? Probably Fathers Knows Best. Again, many of you may not know these programs, but these programs were teaching lessons, good lessons. In the past, you don't see these programs on TV anymore. It's, you think about family, oh, it's tough love. We can't spank her. But, if I ever do something wrong, my dad would spank me. He didn't abuse me. There's a difference between child abuse and child punishment. But the respect and the morals for others today has been waning more than it ever has. I have a question. What does this picture show you? Look at this picture. You rarely see this anymore. This picture shows a man opening a car door for a woman. It's almost like if you do that today, it's like you're embarrassed by it. You don't see it anymore. And you're just being kind or being nice. We've gotten away from that chivalry type of setup, which we had maybe 40 or 50 years ago. And that's a perfect example. Wealth is a very sensitive subject. The wealth and the richie versus the poor. In some cases, wealth may empower people in a way that they can use that to the detriment of others. Perfect example, when I ran the Louisiana Technology Council, we had a Monster.com, the founder of Monster.com, come and talk about entrepreneurship. I said, okay, he charges $25,000. Well, gee, I'm a nonprofit. I can't pay that much. So he said, I'll charge you 10. I said, okay, we don't ever do that, but this is really important for entrepreneurship and development. And then he wanted to fly his girlfriend in and wanted us to pay for it first class. I go, well, we're paying for you. And then at the end of the day, he wants to fly first class, and he gives me the thing, and it's like $1,500. I said, well, there's another flight you can fly first class. It's $800. So the thought process was, okay, I'm just going to go forward, pay whatever I want. They'll get charged back, and no concern about us as a nonprofit and what effect it has. That's sometimes where the rich and the wealthy don't see that, what effect their wealth may have and how it may be a detriment to other people. And sometimes the poor feel oppressed and entitled, and they think government should take care of them. Everything I've done here, there's always exceptions to the rule, always. And I just want to make that clear. This isn't just a defined thing across the board. Technology is huge. I grew up in technology, worked for IBM. It's been great for helping people become productive, but the huge problem is the way we communicate, we don't have that face-to-face interaction that we used to have. So we have more instant communication in terms of quantity, but the quality of the education has deteriorated rapidly, in my opinion, because we send text messages, and there's a lot of lost messages sending texts. We send emails, sometimes it's lost. There's a perception of doing this face-to-face meeting. If you look at this picture here with these kids, they're all at the dinner table and they're not talking. They're all on their phone. That's a problem. Getting together face-to-face, communicating, it's been lacking in a face-to-face, and then interaction, I think, has caused a detriment in terms of how we communicate with each other. Media, when you think about all that's going on, the cursing, the music, these videos you see, get your shine, get lucky, all this contributes to a degradation of what we are thinking about, and it's almost like today it's accepted. Rude behavior is accepted. It's supposed to be cool or funny. Naked, it's these TV programs, Naked and Funny. I don't know if anybody saw the program, Here Comes Honey Boo Boo. It was just a negative indication of how people lived and how rude they were, and it was sloppiness and all this cursing has led to the development and acceptance of what our kids are seeing as being okay. And I really think we need to get around that. See that baby right there? I would ask you this question. Everybody who's born in this world, do you think they're born to violence? That baby who's born today isn't born into violence. It's a learned behavior over time based on the environment that they're in. So no baby today is born into violence. They may learn that behavior. There's a situation, Will Smith, he's a famous New Orleans football player. He got into a tiff with another football player, and they kept going back and forth. And one night they were out driving a car. The other football player hit Will Smith from behind, tapped him. Will Smith got out. The other guy got out. Next thing you know, gun comes out. Will Smith is killed. He died. Famous New Orleans football player. Couldn't play football ever again. Had 2 kids and his wife, both in the car that he was there. His ego, in terms of trying to be better than that other person, caused him to die. And it didn't have to happen. The ego got in the way. Here's a situation. You see that beautiful girl right there. I was in a bar one time, and this beautiful girl came in with this other guy. And of course, some guys, when I was a lot younger, I looked at this really nice looking girl, and I was kind of staring at her. And next thing I know, this big burly guy came up and said, "What are you looking at?" And I'm going, "Oh, I'm just taken back." So, "What do you mean? What are you looking at?" I said, "Is that your girlfriend?" He goes, "Yeah. What do you want?" I said, "Well, you're a very lucky guy. She's very beautiful." And I started staring at her. "I'm very sorry. Please forgive me." Now, what if I did it? My reaction to this was this way. He says, "What are you looking at?" I said, "What's your problem?" "Oh, do you think that would have gone and escalated? He could have thrown a punch." First of all, he was a lot bigger than me. He could have really taken me down and hurt me. But I didn't want that fight. It wasn't an ego that I was going to beat this guy up. But I took the situation and diffused it. A lot of people don't know how to do that. And next thing you know, the guy walked away. Everything was fine. But those are the way in terms we communicate. And a crime today, and what's going on, we've almost accepted it. It's almost been desensitized. And that's why I think violent crime continues to go up. So I ask this question. Think about it. If you look at this screen, what is your purpose in life? Why were you born? Why did God put you on earth? Think about this. Why are you here? Even if you don't believe in God, why are you here? How did you get here? You know, when I ask this question, most people can't answer it. But one person can. And his name is Steve Gleason. Steve Gleason, another famous New Orleans Saints football player. He blocked the punt after Katrina. He came back. Game happened. He was very instrumental. The Saints won. But then 2 years later, he got ALS. He had a great career ahead of himself. He's a real hero. However, he said to me, and I got to know Steve because he spoke at an IT symposium for me. He said, "You know, now I know what my purpose in life is. And my purpose in life is to help other people with ALS." And so that's what he's driven to do. He's confined to a wheelchair. He has no movement from the head down. He can operate a wheelchair with his eyes and direct it. Nobody has to help him. So he said he's been liberated by his wheelchair, not been inhibited by it. I got to know him well, and he wrote the opening foreword to my book because he's got a great message of what his purpose in life is. So here's my answer. Why was I put on this earth? God put me on this earth to serve others. And by serving others, I serve myself. But what's the problem? Many people think the opposite. Their thinking is this: what's in it for me? What can I do that's in my best interest rather than the interest of other people? So there's 2 issues here. People really don't know how to give a damn, or they don't care. I think a lot of them just don't know how because they go about life not thinking about what their actions are may be and how they should give a damn. But there are other people who just don't care. They're just going to go on life and do everything you can in their minds to be everything dedicated to what they can do and how they can get ahead. I know everybody knows that. So how do we instinctively give a damn? 2 examples. The first example, the grandfather's walk across the street. You pull up and you see it's your grandfather. What would you do? You get out of your car immediately to help them, because now you can internalize something that affects you. And therefore you do something about it. We internalize, we give a damn all the time. Here's another example. I was walking across the street. I kicked a rusty nail. It was outside of my office. Most people wouldn't pick it up. But if the rusty nail was in the middle of your driveway, what would you do? You'd pick it up. Why? Because you can internalize something that the rusty nail wouldn't get in your tire. My thought about picking a rusty nail is, what happens if a young lady came down the street with a baby in the back of her car, and she picked up that nail, went down the interstate, and then had a blowout? I didn't want that to happen. That's why I picked up the rusty nail. Could have been my daughter, could have been anybody. So how can we begin to learn to think, to give a damn? Well, a lot of times it's a gut reaction, but we don't listen to our gut. It's in our mind, we forget about it. So how do we get around that? Well, awareness is critical. When something comes into your mind, be aware, admit when you make a mistake, take responsibility, understand, accept these circumstances. There's so many things that happen, but you have to accept it, live up to it, fix it, and go on. And this is really critical. Serve others like you would want to be served. That's really the number one thing. Do things that you would think that you would other people do to you. Would you do the same thing to other people? So give a damn is about doing all the right thing. Quit justifying your actions. And a lot of people know what is right versus wrong. And I talked a little bit about this a little bit earlier. You know it's right, and a lot of times you know it's wrong. But in our mind, we try to justify what we're doing as right, even when it might be wrong. That's a key component that you have to get around. It's very difficult. And I see this, there was a credit card. There's a story that happened in New Orleans. This group from the city of New Orleans went to lunch on the city's credit card. 8 of them. They spent $3,000 on lunch. Now, if it was your own money and you were out with your family, or would you spend $3,000 on lunch? No, but the thought process was, hey, I work for the city. I do all this work. I'm entitled to this, so I'm going to spend a lot of money. But if it was your own money, you probably wouldn't. That's what about justification is. Don't justify just the fact that you can spend a lot of money if it's somebody else's money. Don't justify that it's the right thing to do when you know it's wrong. And that's a key thought process behind this. So here's the ultimate question. Ultimate question. What would you do if you always knew your mom was watching? And if it's not mom, it could be a mentor, or it could be God. What would you do if you always knew she was watching? I think you would think and probably do things a little bit differently. So my give a damn philosophy for business and even for society, it's a new cultural shift to incorporate what we're doing to how people think and how they act towards others. Look, I always say that when you have a great company culture, and if you take care of your employees first, they will naturally take care of your customers. That's just a natural progression. I've learned that. People are happier. They have better relationships. When you have this outside mentality thinking, society becomes better. It's all about creating a kindness culture that's I think is so needed in today's society. So, people in businesses, they need goals. You can't please everybody. And then you go, well, what gives you the authority that you can do such a thing? So when I was back in Louisiana Technology, I created, back in 2002, Louisiana was dead last in technology. So when you have something that's really bad, there's no way to go but up, right? So I took over this nonprofit group, very bad shape, and I created this phrase called Louisiana Tech Capital of the South. And everybody says, well, you're crazy. We're last. It's all tourism, oil and gas. I said, well, we got to look towards something and have a brand that we can all rally around. And nobody believed me. So I kept pursuing. I did all these events and programs. These great events that Nadine continues to put on are terrific. And I kept going forward. And then people started getting it. They started getting it. We had CIO forums. We had all this great technology. Microsoft came and talked to us. Adobe came and talked to us. Then we started moving up, and people started getting it. So I had a board. After 10 years, I said, okay, board, Louisiana Tech Capital of the USA. They looked at me like, you're crazy. I said, we did it once before. Are you not want to do it again? And they said, we don't think that's the right way to go. So I went back into business because I just couldn't get somebody to buy into that. So my question is, I'm creating this movement. I think it's a much more massive movement than what the Tech Council was doing. And that's what led me to go forward with this program. And who doesn't think that we need to do better in society and business? So I've created a personal and business success graph, all based on the give a damn philosophy. Here it is. When you have an attitude that's positive, and when you have a give a damn attitude that focuses on smiling, happiness, your level of success will continue to grow. And I've seen that in my own development, in my own initiative with other companies, the give a damn philosophy. Now, some people may say, well, golly, give a damn is a pretty strong word. You know, I asked my mom, and I actually went to a priest because it's pretty aggressive, I guess, in a sense. And I asked my mom, who was passed away at the time, and asked the priest, is this going to be offensive? He says, no, you're using damn in a way that shows positivity and not in a negative way. And I said, you're okay, well, I'm going for it then. So that's when I named the book the way I did. See these two kids? You know, this brings back to me a phrase that really hit home. Human beings must be more childlike versus childish, if that makes sense. Childlike, you know, they're all happy and just abundantly going forward versus childish, and childish typically is negative, childlike is positive. So I asked my wife, religion teaches kindness. Now we do live longer. I said, that's not true because you see all these negativities. She said, no, every religion teaches kindness. It's just really bad apples in some of these religious things, and we haven't been able to overcome those in a way. But religion is about teaching kindness. So what can you do? Well, you got to believe that give a damn is in your psyche. You got to think about always what we're trying to do, what's right, be truthful to yourself, and listen and be aware. I think everything you do creates a moment of truth. It can either be positive or it can be negative. That moment of truth that you create in your own mindset to help other people always has to be positive. We can think about doing that. I'm trying to get the word out about what give a damn means, and never do these three things. You can do them in a positive way, but never, these 3 C's. You can think about 3 C's. Never complain, criticize, or condemn. So you ask me, what about you? Well, this is tough. This isn't easy to do. It takes time to overcome. And then I come up with words that are needed more than ever. What do you think those words are? What words are needed more than ever that we're not really honing in on? Or you don't see a lot of them? Think about it. What are these words? Please, thank you, and excuse me. You know, we don't ever see this. I opened up a door for the lady the other day, and she goes, she walks through there and says, I never hear thank you, right? Or please, or excuse me. Somebody bumps into you. Oh, excuse me. You don't hear those words. Those words go a long way, I think, in showing appreciation, because these simple words really represent the following. I think we're getting some feedback here.
And then it makes it a tough day.
Hey, Dean, can you mute Tyrene? If you could, there we go. So what do those words mean? Please, give it, please, thank you, and excuse me. Really hone in on gratitude, respect, getting together, doing the right thing, because we always have something that we can always be grateful for. And I love kid pictures because they really demonstrate a sense of happiness, and nothing affects them. They're just going on. You imagine 2 adults who don't know each other doing that? Now you probably wouldn't see that much. So I'm creating a worldwide movement, a give a damn movement. I'm going to get millions of people to join and to take a pledge. And I teach this to businesses, changing their culture in a way that can be very beneficial. So look, this is very difficult philosophy change. It's a constant challenge. I wear these wristbands because I need to be continually reminded of them. I continue to be reminded of it. Sometimes I'm not always good at it, but I'm much better than I was 10 years ago. And it's a culture. It's a new personal reflection of what you need. Now, look, if you do this, it's demonstrated when you give it down by you giving to other people. It creates a sense of internal. This kind of goes back to what Michelle was saying in the science, but this is more of an attitude and a way that you can actually improve your life. Because when you become happier and you do these things for other people, there's a sense of satisfaction to do that. And what creates more havoc on the body than anything is stress. If you can relieve your stress through a positive mental attitude, you're going to be more successful. It's tough. So people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. And I really believe that. So you can make a true impact on business society when your servant attitude is bigger than your ego, because individually you make a difference and collectively we change the world. I can't do it by myself. I want other people to come in and help me. So I can put this picture here because I think it's a kind of a fun picture. I got my older golden retriever with a new puppy, and he's reading my first version of the book, which I did. And the quote was, hey, little one, you really need to read this book because we got to help the humans get it right. You think about a dog. They're always so happy to see you. They never talk back to you. When you come through that door, they love you like you would never been loved before. They're very much attuned to you to please you in every way they can. God, if we could all be like dogs, this world would be really terrific. So here's what I want you to do. Everybody take out your phones right now. Take out your phone. If you would, go to the internet and go to giveadamnbook.com. Giveadamnbook.com. And there's a drop-down box called Join the Movement. Join the movement. I have an initiative over the next 30 days, starting on September 1st, to get 30 straight days of pledges. Take the accountability pledge. It says American accountability pledge. If you're not American, it doesn't matter. Take the Canadian, think about it as a pledge, not associated. But I'm trying to get people to take the pledge, that they will be more responsible. They're going to help drive this movement. We got to change society. So if you would take the pledge for me and just put your name in there. Look, I'm not going to spam you. You'll get emails from me probably once a month about how we're doing and creating the movement. This will be real important to me because I need support to be able to do this in terms of going forward. So if you take the accountability pledge, I'll actually get an email saying that you've done it from that perspective. Just trying to look at my phone right now, see how many people have actually come in and taken the pledge. I'll have your phone, if you would do that, please. As a support of my initiative, I would really appreciate that. There we go. Nadine, thank you for doing that. You're in. I appreciate you taking the pledge. That's very commendable. Who else is next? Again, I really appreciate your support. Nadine was born the year I graduated from college. It shows you how much older I am than she is. Who's coming up next? Anybody next? This will help go towards my 30 days. We got a couple minutes and I'll be done. So the Give a Damn philosophy, if you're interested in learning more, you can always contact me. I've actually did my own Audible version of the book. Look, this whole thing is not for intent for me to make any money, but really to hone in on what we can do to help other people, to get this mindset change. I probably won't live in long enough to be able to see this whole thing through if we can make a difference. But it's a big initiative. Just like we took on Louisiana Tech Help of the South, I want to create a Give a Damn movement that's worldwide, that has 1 million people to it. And the other thing is 20% of everything that's done goes to Team Gleason to help him with ALS. And of course, you'll see the other accountability pledge from that perspective too. Let's see who else I have. Anybody else come in? Not yet. Hopefully you'll be able to do it. All right, that's kind of everything I have. I'm happy to answer any questions. I think I'm right on time from that perspective. Does anybody have any issues or questions? I'm happy to answer them. So Brenda, if you go to giveadamnbook.com, yeah, that would be great. It's in the chat box if anybody wants to pledge from that. I really appreciate everybody being part of this in terms of what I'm trying to do to go forward. I'm very much engaged in trying to make this something that could be very beneficial to everybody. And it really contributes to the quality of someone's life in the long term. That's what I want to do.
I love what you're doing, Mark. I think that's so phenomenal. It's so admirable of you to be doing that, to doing what you're doing, and with this pledge and everything you just talked about. I can resonate with that right now. The world needs like 1,000 of Marks to be just spreading this message to the world, because it's really needed right now on so many different levels. You mentioned in business, in relationships, in schools, in every area of our life. This is impacting our world in such a positive way, right? To be able to bring that truth and hope and purpose and just amazing good things into the world. I wanted to just give an example. I know you're talking about opening the door. You had that picture of the gentleman opening the door for the lady. So this is interesting. This is, I guess, it was a couple of years ago now. My son's now 12, my oldest son, and there was one time we were going to Sport Check. He plays basketball, so we were going to get, I forget what we were getting. And he walks through the door, and he basically walks through the door, let the door go, the door slammed in my face. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's do that again, right? Let's try that over. Let's do a do-over with that. And I think we went through, I said, we're gonna do that 10 times till it's ingrained in your mind that when you walk through a door, you hold the door open for the person who's behind you, no matter who that is. If it's a woman, if it's an elderly person, if it's another person, you hold the door open. And we did that for about 10 times. I mean, he was so mad at me by the end, but I said, I don't care. This is going to be ingrained by the time we're done at Sport Check today. This is going to be ingrained for the rest of your life. I think he was 6 years old. He was just young. And to be able to, and from this day forward, I don't think there's been one time where I have walked with him anywhere that he hasn't pulled the door open for everybody that walks through.
That's a great message. It's funny that you bring things, and whenever I look at somebody else's perspective, I always try to put myself in their shoes versus my shoes, right? You get a much better perspective if you reverse a role with somebody and see it from how you would react if you were in their shoes as it pertains to you. But thanks, Dave Driver. Mortgage, I appreciate your pledge for bringing that in. So, Dave Driver, Mortgage.
Yeah, does anybody have
anybody
have any questions for Mark before we move on to the next speaker? I just found that an absolutely phenomenal presentation, Mark. Thank you so much for that, the insight and the information, and just the pure. I can just feel your heart, and your heart is in your work and your passion in sharing that. And I just commend you on what you're doing, and just continue to keep impacting as many people as you can doing what you're doing, because it's a great thing. And like I said, the world really does need more of you right now. So it's been an honor to get to know you over these past few months, and really have come to admire you in so many different ways. So thank you for being such a great leader, and being a part of this Lead to Impact, because you are a phenomenal example of somebody who is leading with phenomenal impact and a lot of impact in the world.
Appreciate I tip my head off to you for all the great work you're doing in this conference. So thank you for having me. Thank you everybody who participated. I hope I didn't bore you. You can tell I'm passionate about what's going on, and hopefully maybe one day you'll see a great initiative, and you'll see, oh, I saw that guy, I know that guy, and maybe I can make a difference from a world standpoint.
Yeah. And just so you to know too, I will. So Mark has, I'll be posting at the end of the event. Everybody's going to get sent the links for all the speakers and all of the information for Mark to connect with him. If you didn't get a chance to do that today or to make the pledge, you'll be able to do that at the end of the event. An email will be sent out as well with the pledge, the Give a Damn website, so you can make a pledge that way. So there was actually, I forget how many hundreds of people that registered for this event. So I'll send it out to all of them. The majority of people are so overwhelmed and busy right now with so many different things happening that I think I'll send that out, and hopefully we can get a bunch more pledges on your list there for what you're doing.
Thank you, Brenda. Appreciate it for pledging. I just got it. So you're terrific. Thank you.
All right, amazing. So thank you for being a part of this event, Mark. I appreciate that. So I think we're going to take a little bit of a break. We've kind of forfeited a couple of our breaks in this entire day today because we've just had such phenomenal experiences and information that's been shared. It's been, we just want to really take the time to honor whatever's coming up and allow things to naturally evolve organically. And if there's things that we need to discuss or that come up, we would just welcome anybody to just share any feedback or anything from this point if they want to share anything. And yeah, again, we just are grateful for everybody who is here, that showed up and took action and is dedicated to being here today.
Thank you again.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for being here.